God bless you.
All right, so Esai, thank you for joining us. I know you've been kind of on a whirlwind, even though there's a strike right now, and you've been working on other projects. You can still work on independent.
Yes, we. I don't know how many of you guys know our industry is in kind of an upheaval. The writer's strike is looking like it's going to finally come to an end, but the actors, we're still on strike, and we have to be careful what we talk about. We're not supposed to promote big studio projects or films, but we can work on small independent films, so that gives us a chance to work on like labors of love, little artsy movies that otherwise wouldn't be able to have actors that would be working on other things. So I'm blessed to be working, trust me.
Well, I wanted to start, obviously, we're at a real estate conference. You joined us back in 2015 in Chicago, and you had given me a call maybe around 2016, and you were thinking of buying a home, and it was a big decision at the time. You're kind of teetering, should I do it, should I not? I really want to get your perspective. What was that like, that experience of deciding to purchase a home, and how has that worked out from a wealth building perspective? Should all Latinos strive to become homeowners?
Well, that's a great question. I'll take it all the way back now to my mother. My mother worked very hard. She was a seamstress. She was a union organizer for the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. Anyone remember the old commercials where the woman would sing, "Look for the union label"? Anyway, my mother was like a Norma Reyes, I guess, if you would, a Latina organizer. And her dream, which she realized, was to buy her own home, which she did in Puerto Rico. And it was a milestone in her life. And she says, tienes que, luchar en la vida and buy something. You want to create roots, because we as a culture are often disconnected from our roots. We're kind of a rent culture in a sense, where, yeah, we may be hot at one minute, but unless you establish economic roots that won't easily be, taken away, you're temporary. And so I think if you look at other communities, like the African American community, Asian community, they understand the importance of building economic roots. So for me, that was a milestone. And I was an actor, and she wasn't always happy about that, and I understand that. But when I helped her pay off that house, she was like, maybe there's a future in this thing after all. Do you know what I mean? So then, to get to your thing, the first house I bought was like in 2000, and it was my first house. I bought it in Hollywood Hills, like $750,000, which was a lot for me. I don't come from a lot of money. I don't have wealth background. It's really good when your parents have decades or generational wealth. They know what to do with trusts and, all these, estate planning. They've got it figured out to a science. But when you come from a family that doesn't have that background, it's scary to invest so much of your, of whatever you have into a home. Who knows? Maybe the prices will go down. So for me, it was a very important thing. And I did make money 12 years later. The markets went up, it kind of went down and back up. But it's a safe bet, real estate in general. Land, as they say, I don't have to tell you guys, they don't make more land. And it's a good thing to know you can't be kicked out. You can't, unless you don't pay your mortgage.
Yeah, homeownership is so important in the Latino, and I think everyone resonates with that background of starting from nothing and having to achieve that homeownership and the wealth and create it and leave that family legacy. I wanted to roll into another parallel that I see with real estate professionals and actors, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the market that we're in right now, it's a very difficult market. Rates are up, and everyone's struggling, whether they admit it or not. With an actor, when it's hot, it's hot. When it's not, it's not. It's kind of like real estate professionals, right?
Absolutely.
You've had this 40-year career where you've been able to navigate it and find work when you needed it, have the big film, tread water, have another big film, but it's lasted 40 years, it's been successful. What would your advice be to real estate professionals whose passion is real estate, just like your passion is acting, to get up every morning, make it through this storm that we're in, and live to fight that next day? What was your motivation to have such a tremendously long career?
Well, I got to tell you, passion, is crucial, because if you do something that you enjoy, it's no longer work. It's a combination of work and play because, work is drudgery in general. We think of, I got to do paperwork, I have to do this, that, and the other. But if you look at it, if you change your mindset, like I'll give you an example, auditions. Oh gosh, I hated auditions because it's like, oh come on, didn't you see me in Bad Boys? Didn't they see me in Bamba? Come on, they should know I can do this. But it's a beautiful thing to keep yourself humble and realize that they need someone. At a certain point, I realized, wait a minute, I'm not begging for work. I'm helping them find what they need. And in a sense, real estate folks, you're doing a service. You're helping people. They need a home. You want to make sure that they get the right service, that they get the right home, that they don't regret it, right? As an actor, I want to make sure I don't regret it. So my thing is find a way to look at it where you realize this is what you love. This is what you do. You're good at it. Reconnect with your passion and with your discipline. And if the times are bad, stay on top of it. Keep reading, wait for that moment, for that uptick to come, and you'll be all over it.
One thing you also said as we were speaking before this, which I thought was interesting, just like an actor performs for that audition, a realtor walks in and you gotta show up for that performance with that energy every single time and sell yourself, right?
That's right. Really, the first thing you're selling is yourself, right? As if you want to get the client, you have to get the job, and you have to be chosen. And how the vibe you put out, the confidence you put out may make someone say, okay, I like this person. You don't have to say, I'm good because of this, and that. You emanate it. If you know your business, it shows. You're confident, you're not too relaxed, but you're not too eager. There's a real balance that you have to have. It's all performance, right? You're performing.
Absolutely. So rolling into another question with the Latino narrative, again, 40-year career. 87 was a big year.
Do you have to keep saying 40-year career?
Well, it's the legacy of it. Sorry, you're a legend, man. Sorry. 1987, La Bamba. That was a big film in the Latino space. So what was it like making a Latino film at that time? Was the funding there? Was the backing there? I'm sure, there was some pushback in 87. And how has that experience changed now as far as for a Latino filmmaker, for a Latino actor? What's the difference in Hollywood from then and now?
Well, I think Hollywood right now is in a good spot. I'll answer it in reverse. Hollywood right now, you have a lot more opportunities. People are more sensitive to cultural, racial issues. Diversity is a big word, and for some folks, it's been abused. Some people feel like they're being hit over the head with it. And I'm saying, let's take these opportunities and make sure people don't regret them. Let's be prepared. Let's show up. But there's a problem because opportunities come and they go. There are certain TV series, right? They're supported by their communities, and they have 3 or 4 seasons or more. But what happens in our community, and I think it's a result of our kind of colonized mindset or second-class citizen from having lost the Spanish-American War, Spain took a hit and, Spanish-speaking became an other, is that we're not necessarily always on top of who's out there representing us. So we have to, as a community, support our projects the way Tyler Perry has support from the African American community, the way the Jewish Americans have just supported their industry, whether in whatever industry it is. But Asians, there's a certain kind of understanding that, hey, that's us, we're being represented, and you better do a good job or you're going to hear from us.
Yeah. And that rolls into another question I had. So my wife worked in television many years, and it was on the data side. So she'd come home with all this data, Nielsen research, and where the audiences were. And you talk about the African American community, Blackish. The minute that came out, they had national support within the African American community. It lasted 8 seasons. Very successful run from beginning to end. Fresh off the boat. Again, universal support across the country. Asian American community that lasted 6 seasons. Same year Blackish came out, Christella came out with the show on ABC, preempted Blackish, great time slot. It lasted 1 year and was not renewed. You take a look at a show like Gentefied on Netflix, 2 seasons, not renewed. So the question is, and what came out in the data, this isn't my opinion, but it comes out in the data, is that the Hispanic market is very segmented still when it comes to audiences. So what maybe the Mexican-American community in the Southwest likes, maybe the Puerto Rican and Dominican community in the Northeast, that's not their cup of tea, or the Cuban community in the Southeast. Are we too segmented, and what's the solution to bring us all together to support the arts, to support these projects, so that we're lasting 8 seasons on television versus the 1 and the 2s?
That's a great question. The fact is, we are segmented. Whether we're too segmented for television, I don't know. It's a balance. It's wonderful to be proud of your heritage. It's wonderful. We get that. But don't do it at the expense of those around you. I am a Puerto Rican American, and I'm very proud of my Puerto Rican roots. But let me add to that I'm extremely proud that the Mexican American community has adopted me as their own. Because of my work in La Bamba, Mi Familia, even Del and Ozark, the point is that we have to be proud of each other, okay? Let's not, and then we take that pride and extend it around the world. Okay, because as Latinos, it shouldn't be Latino this, Latino that. We should have our pride inside so that you don't have to wear it. Unfortunately, I don't carry la bandera on my hat, but in my heart. And I'm also interested in other cultures because as Latinos, we have Asian, we have African, we have European blood, we have the world in us. And we should reflect that and be interested in the rest of the world so we are as embracing. And so that the rest of the world says, oh, I identify with them, I'll watch that show. So we're not dependent upon our community, but our community reflects the world that makes us.
Love it. So recently you had a film with the mission you chose to accept, right?
I chose to accept the mission, the bad guy in Mission Impossible. Which we're not supposed to promote, so don't go see it. But, it's a chance of a lifetime to work with this up-and-coming actor who's got a future. A guy named Tom Cruz, C-R-U-Z,
like
something like that. Cruz, I think he's Latino somewhere.
So
he had to change it,
So Mission Impossible, it's grossed over $500 million worldwide. And I saw you do an interview, I think one of the red carpet premieres overseas, where you said this was the highlight of your career, playing the main villain in this series. Such a big role for you. My question is, I think in the Latino space, everyone can agree here, we've known your body of work, we've known your talent for many years. Do you feel this pedestal that you were put on, where you're getting a lot of acclaim for this role, do you feel that maybe the rest of the world is seeing what we all knew in this room already? Is this going to open up more for you? And I know it's the highlight, but I'm hoping this is the beginning of many highlights.
I sure hope so, but I can't take it for granted. I can't, assume so. I do like to talk about certain things. I do share certain things that can be considered controversial on social media, so I do believe that I pay a price for that. I think algorithms are designed in a way to make sure certain messages don't get too much exposure. So I have to balance what my life passion is and what's going to make sure that I don't inhibit my ability to feed and provide for my family. So it's always a balance, kind of like showing a house, you have to full disclosure, but there's a way to do it that doesn't kill the sale, you know what I'm saying? There's a way to do it that doesn't, inhibit you from your goals, and that's what I hope. And I think, it is a highlight because that gentleman, who I believe is somewhere Latino, somewhere down the line, has made an incredible impact on this industry. And one of the first days on set, I said to him, I said, because I'd met him many, many years ago. He was doing this I was doing a movie called Bad Boys with Sean Penn from the 80s. I don't know if some of you remember that. It's
Great movie.
Yeah. The younger folks, you'll have to look it up. Anyway. And Sean said, hey man, I got this friend of mine in town who's making this movie, and it turned out to be, Tom Cruise and Rebecca De Mornay, like the hottest, movie couple, whatever. I mean, we didn't know the movie was gonna be so huge. It's a little film called Risky Business. Yeah, and so I met him then, but we'd never worked together. And we finally got a chance to work because somebody else couldn't do it. They already cast someone else for the role. And he was great on another show called The Great. But because of the lockdowns were over and whatnot, the schedules all of a sudden couldn't work. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing. This was a window opening for me. And the first day on set, it hit me. I'm like, dude, congratulations. He's like, what? I'm like, I don't know any other actor in the history of cinema that has stayed within the top 5 or 10, stayed relevant for over 4 decades. That's insane.
It is.
So, you got to give credit where it's due. And his work ethic is legendary. And he's just a perfectionist who really hires the best and gets the best he can around him. So for me to be chosen was a real big, honor. So anyway, I was grateful and I let him know.
Well, with that, and we're running out of time here, but what's next, and what is your plan for your path for the rest of your career?
The rest of my career is to take what I've been given and make the most out of it. I was actually thinking about a quote to leave on something that I had to say that's promotional, and I said, my life's arc has been about taking all the adversity, all the hardships and the pressures, and turning them into gems. Take that which tries to define you as a failure and let it refine you as a success. Thank you.
With that, I just want to say, every time people ask me about you, I say he's one of the most humble guys you'll ever meet. He lives with so much
I'm the most
gratitude.
humble man in the known universe.
But you live with a lot of gratitude. I just want to tell you, thank you from the Latino community for everything you've done. You've always been on the right side of the issues, and you've represented us well for a long time, and we're so proud of you and your success.
Thank you,
Esai Morales, everybody.
Raúl Espinosa.